A very good morning to you. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday morning with us. Pittsburgh International Airport is truly becoming international again, and it's also increasing its number of nonstop flights, including an Alaska Airlines commitment to nonstop service between Seattle and Pittsburgh. The airport is also welcoming foreign carriers for cargo, and there are major renovation plans for the facility. All topics that we'll be discussing with Airport Authority CEO Christina Cassotis, who we are so pleased to welcome back to the Sunday Business Page. Christina, always great to have you here.
And really always great to be here. Thanks.
You know, every time we have you on, you're doing something new and better out at that airport. No doubt about it. You've been a huge asset to this region. Congratulations for all that you're doing. So I don't know where to start. We could start with new flights for folks here in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Spirit Airlines to Florida.
Yep, 2 more destinations.
2 more destinations. Tell us a little bit more about this airline, because I don't think people know too much about Spirit.
We're really excited that we were able to welcome Spirit in over the summer. They are our 3rd ultra low-cost carrier, joining Allegiant and Frontier, and they are serving 8 markets out of Pittsburgh, which is fantastic. It was a big announcement for them, big for us, and they're a discount carrier, low cost, so you get to put together, you know, your package of amenities, and they've got a great product, new aircraft, new CEO focused on customer service, and we're really happy to have them.
Well, we had the new CEO on this program.
Oh, good, Bob.
And Bob, Finaro,
yes.
And he was very good, and he insists that some of the criticism of customer service criticism of the past is no longer true at Spirit Airlines, at least under his regime. What's your sense of that?
Well, he was the CEO of AirTran, which had a very good reputation and eventually actually sold to Southwest. So I trust Bob. I think that he's focused on the fundamentals, and he understands that you can't take your customers for granted. So I'm confident that people will see a change.
Well, the other big news in terms of flights, Seattle, the headquarters of Amazon.
Yes.
And of course, everyone in this area started speculating the fact that Alaska Airlines chose to open a route between Seattle and Pittsburgh. What does that mean for the Amazon bid for the second headquarters? And I know you told me back when that happened that nothing. It really has nothing to do with that.
It doesn't. I mean, they aren't serving us because of what might happen. They're serving us because of the traffic that's here.
Right.
And I think you were the person who asked at the press conference, well, what if Amazon announces? And they said, then we'll add more flights. Right. So supply meets demand in this industry, and there's a lot of demand to Seattle already. And we're confident that there will be more once a nonstop goes in.
Well, here's what I like about Alaska Airlines. They're rated #1 in customer service on so many levels, and they fly the West Coast.
They do.
So can you share us a secret? Tell us that they're going to fly Pittsburgh nonstop to San Francisco.
I wish I could tell you that today. Look, they're one of the airlines we're talking to about it. It makes sense. The Bay Area is a huge gap for us, and they would make a whole lot of sense. But I think they're going to want to see how Seattle bookings go first.
Let me ask you about the Air Mall. See, I've got a lot of topics. I'll never get through all of them. The Air Mall. Christmas shopping out at the Air Mall. There's stores there that are not anywhere else.
Yes.
But we had the county controller come out with a report this past week indicating that there were at least 80 I think it was 89% compliance in terms of they're not allowed to have higher prices at the airport than they have at stores anywhere else.
Right.
You had 89% compliance, but you still had some products that were overpriced. Is this a problem?
Well, I don't believe it's a problem. I think 89% is a really good number. We are working with Air Mall and the vendors to make sure that we can close that gap. And I am sorry if Cheez-Its were a little bit higher priced than people expected, but we're going to fix that.
Right. Cargo.
Yes.
How important is it to have these cargo flights into Pittsburgh? I guess Qatar was one of the deals that you've inked, and you're providing extra incentives.
We are.
To get them to fly in and out of Pittsburgh.
Right.
But why do we care about cargo flights?
Well, first of all, everybody should care about cargo, because with cargo, we have the ability to create an international logistics center, and that makes a big difference when it comes to advanced manufacturing and creating the kinds of products that get shipped by air. They tend to be high value. They tend to be just in time, that needs to be able to access really quick transit. So to be able to provide that nonstop from the airport is incredibly important for the community as a whole. Cargo is traditionally undervalued, and for us to be able to attract a world-class carrier, while Columbus has 4 of the 6 we would have gone after, it was a big deal, and so we provided the kind of incentives that made that deal work. I look at my job as figuring out which investments will pay off in the long term and make sure that what we do is we make the right ones.
Do cargo, when you get a cargo company to come in, does that lead to passengers down the line?
We hope so. There's a lot of if you look at how Qatar serves, they're based in Doha, and they do a lot of flying into India. So we're watching the Indian market very carefully, as well as the Gulf market and the market into Africa. And as that grows, we would expect that at some point we may be eligible to sustain passenger service. But in the meantime, we're just very focused on making sure that our manufacturers are taking advantage of that cargo service here.
We only have a minute or so left, Christina, and of course I got to ask you about this whole new terminal.
Yeah. This
new Landside Terminal that's going to be built adjacent to Airside, a $1.1 billion project, I believe.
Yes.
It's going to take a few years to happen. What does this mean for all of us? How important is this?
It's the physical manifestation of everything we've been saying, which is Pittsburgh's back. And when you think of the airport as the front door to this community for people who have never been here before, we need to make sure that that front door looks like the community that has reinvented itself yet again, with a diversified economy, with a very vibrant, growing set of businesses and universities and foundations, and all the things that make up this community need to be reflected at the airport while the costs are lower for the airlines. So we can do both, and we're going to.
So the bottom line is that we'll be able to drive up and park in a parking lot, much bigger parking garage, that's right next to where we get out, can get our baggage or check in, all one level.
Correct.
No train, none of that stuff, no people movers. We can get right to where we need to go in order to fly out of Pittsburgh.
Right, and it'll look better and it'll be cheaper for the airlines to operate at, and that's a very important point.
Cheaper for the airlines, which means that you can attract even more airlines.
Yeah, we think that by not having them operate in an inefficient facility, that will attract it. And the fact that the costs are lower, that's a huge bonus.
Well, every time we have you on the show, Christina, there's always something new to learn, and I can't thank you enough for all you're doing.
Thanks.
Christina Cassotis, CEO of the Airport Authority. Thank you again for being with us. When the Sunday Business Page continues, downtown Pittsburgh comes alive for Christmas shopping.